Hello everyone, welcome back. We're back with another Power Rankings video. Week 20 of our Power Rankings series. We've seen a couple of shifts in the top 10 that sees one team go extremely high, the top 3 remain the same, and we have some new honorable mentions that has the top 7 teams in each conference in our Power Rankings series this week. We'll get to all of the details coming up right now. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here at the End-to-End Hockey channel. Now before we begin this video, don't forget to like this video and subscribe down below. Thank you for all of your support. We never will do so for you guys, so if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe down below. It really does help with the channel. We're on the road to 500 subscribers. And don't forget to leave a comment down in the comment section below. Would love to hear your guys' opinion on all that was discussed here today. So in today's video, we have week 20 of our Power Rankings series. We've seen some movement in the top 10. A couple of teams have fallen out of the top 10. Some teams have gone back into the top 10. We've seen a team go really high in the top 10. And we saw a couple of new honorable mentions, so we'll touch on all the details here. As usual, we're going to start with the 4 honorable mentions. So our 4th honorable mention for this week, in week 20, is going to be a team who went undefeated last week, going 3-0-0, and has gone themselves back into a playoff spot. And that's the Ottawa Senators. Senators had a really good week last week, going 3-0-0. Started the week with a 4-3 overtime victory over the new look Chicago Blackhawks. Then it was maybe the 2 biggest games of the Ottawa Senators season. They would come from behind, down 3-1, to beat the New York Rangers 4-3 in overtime, and then they were able to get a late winner to beat the Detroit Red Wings 2-1. 2 massive victories for Ottawa Senators that has them now back into first wildcard spot in the Eastern Conference. So really good stuff there for Ottawa. Like, this team, even though they've had the rough stretches, is looking a lot better, and they're looking like they could actually make the playoffs, which as a Senators fan I'm really happy for. So that's why I had them as my 4th honorable mention. Like, they're not going to get into the top 10 at this point in time, but I think they've done enough to at least be in the honorable mention category. Like, offensively, this team's clicking. Kachuk, Cozen since arriving, Stützle, Batherson, Giroux, all looking really good offensively. Defensively, Zub, Sanderson, Shabbat doing really good defensively. And in net, Allmark starting to find his game, and Forsberg still looking pretty good in net as well. So all in all, really solid week there from the Senators, going undefeated. That's why I had them as my 4th honorable mention. 3rd honorable mention this week is a team who falls out of the top 10 from last week, and that is the New Jersey Devils. The Devils had a really sour stretch here as they went 1-2-0, continued on with their losing streak by losing to Dallas early in the week last week 4-3, and then they got absolutely obliterated after the deadline by the Winnipeg Jets 6-1 before they wound up beating the Philadelphia Flyers 3-1 to end their losing streak. So the winning against Philadelphia was good, but a couple of really bad losses to 2 of the top teams in the NHL. So not really great stuff there. But Jersey, they're still in the top 3 spot in the Metro. They're still one of the better teams in the Eastern Conference. So that's why I don't drop them out completely of my power rankings. So it's still not overly great week. Offensively, Meyer, Palat, Heischer, newly acquired Cody Glass, and Hala are doing all right offensively. Defensively, want to see him tighten it up a little bit more, but Nemec, Luke Hughes, Dumoulin now are doing really good defensively, and in net, Markstrom and Allen continue to hold down the fort as best they can. So all in all, decent week there from the Devils, but they had a losing record, which is why I bumped them out of my top 10. The 2nd honorable mention this week is a team who enters the power rankings for the first time in quite some time, and that is the Colorado Avalanche. The Avalanche had a stellar last week. They went 4-0-0, a perfect week, winning 4 out of a possible 4 games, getting 8 out of a possible 8 points. They were dominant. They're now 3rd in the Central Division, so they are flying right now. Like, this team wound up beating the Pittsburgh Penguins 4-1, not too surprising there. Then they put up 7 in back-to-back games against the Sharks and the Maple Leafs before they shut out the Chicago Blackhawks. So all in all, really cannot be upset. 2 great offensive performances, 2 great defensive performances. This team is clicking on all cylinders offensively. In AHS, newly acquired Nelson, newly acquired Coyle, Lehkonen, McKinnon, all looking really good offensively. Defensively, Makar, Taves, newly acquired Lindgren, all looking really good defensively. And in net, Blackwood and Wedgwood continue to give them some stellar level goaltending. So all in all, a great week from the Avalanche, winning 4 games, and that's why I have them as my 2nd team, my honorable mentions. And the 1st team in my honorable mentions this week is another team who falls out of the top 10, and that is the Minnesota Wild. Wild have not had an overly great stretch over the past couple of weeks. This week, they went 1-2-0. They started the week with a really good win. They were able to hold on Toronto a lead and narrowly beat Seattle 4-3 before they had back-to-back losses by a same score, losing 3-1 to Vancouver and then losing 3-1 to Pittsburgh. Not overly fantastic, given the fact the Wild have more points than both of those teams. So you really want to see the Wild get wins against Vancouver. You want to see them get win against Pittsburgh. They're now in a wild card spot, which has them dropping. That's why the Avalanche are heating up right now, and the Wild are not doing overly good. So it'll be interesting to see how the Wild finish out the stretch of the season. But still, they're a decent team. They're looking good. Injuries have caught up to them, but still, they're a really good team offensively. Nyquist, Zuccarello, Rossi, Ogren, Johansson, all looking really good offensively. Defensively, Faber, Spurgeon, Brodin still looking pretty good defensively. And in net, Gustafsson and Fleury continue to give them some pretty solid goaltending. So all in all, Wild do follow my top 10 because of their bad record this week, but they're still a top-end team, and that's why they are my first honorable mention. So those are my honorable mentions for this week. Now going over to the top 10. So we have seen some shiftment in the top 10, so we'll get to all the movement here. So first, we saw Los Angeles Kings as the 10th team in my power rankings, and last week they were the first honorable mention, so they do go back into the top 10 for the first time in a couple of weeks. They had a solid week last week. They went 2-0-1. They started the week with an overtime loss to the St. Louis Blues. Before they had a couple of wins, a narrow overtime victory over St. Louis again, and then they were able to, in a high-scoring affair, beat the Golden Knights 6-5. So 5 out of possible 6 points, 2 out of possible 3 wins. You like to see that from the LA Kings. They're closing in on Edmonton for the 3rd spot in the Pacific Division, so they're not too far back of Edmonton now. So they're looking really good right now. So that is why I have them as 10th in my power rankings. Still one of the top teams in the Western Conference. They're clicking on all cylinders offensively, like Fiala, Byfield, newly acquired Kuzmenko, Kopitar, and LaFerriere are doing really good offensively. Defensively, Anderson, Doughty, Edmondson continue to hold down the fort defensively, and in net, Kemper and Riddick, while they could do a little bit better, are still doing pretty good. So all in all, solid week there from the Kings. That's why I had them as the 10th team in my power rankings. 9th team in my power rankings this week, and entering for the first time in quite a while, is the Tampa Bay Lightning. They had another great week this week. They went 2-1-0. They started out the week with a very good victory, destroying the Columbus Blue Jackets, then overcame a deficit and beat the Buffalo Sabres 6-5 before they wound up getting shut out by Boston Bruins 4-0 and having this mini winning streak of theirs end. So it wasn't an overly great end to the week. You want to see them beat a newly looked Boston team that lost a whole bunch of players, but still, they are one of the top teams in the Atlantic Division and the Eastern Conference. Even with the loss, they're still only a couple of points out of first spot in the Atlantic Division. So the Tampa Bay Lightning are looking really good offensively. Kucherov, Gensel, newly acquired Bjorkstrand and Gord, and Hagel continue to produce well offensively. Defensively, you have guys like Hedman, Perbix, Chernik, all doing really good defensively, and in net, Vasilevsky and Johansson continue to thrive in net. So all in all, solid week there from the Bolts. That's why I had them as my 9th to my power rankings. 8th to my power rankings this week is the Toronto Maple Leafs. They fall a couple of spots from last week's power rankings. They're still a really good team. They're still neck and neck with the Florida Panthers for a top spot in the Atlantic Division. This week, though, they went 1-2-0, which is why I bumped them down a little bit. They started out the week with a narrow 5-3 or 5-2 loss to Vegas. Then they had a 4-2 lead and gave up 5 unanswered to lose to Colorado. And then they had a 3-0 lead, gave up 3 unanswered, but did recover and win on a shootout over Utah. So they had a prime opportunity to get 2 regulation wins against Utah and Colorado, and they had to settle for a shootout win and a regulation loss. So that's really bad stuff there. You don't want to see Toronto be blowing leads like that, but still, like I said, one of the top teams in the Atlantic Division, one of the top teams in the NHL. They're still a really good team. Offensively, Marner, Matthews, Nylander, Tavares, newly acquired Scott Lawton, all doing really well offensively. Defensively, Riley, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, and newly acquired Carlo doing pretty good defensively. And in net, well, they could be a little bit better. Wolin Stolarz continue to be really good in net. So all in all, solid week there from Toronto, as I have them as my 8th team in my power rankings. 7th team in my power rankings this week is the Edmonton Oilers. They did not do an overly good week this week. 500, they went 2-2-0. They started the week with a loss. The Anaheim Ducks got obliterated by them, did not look overly good. Then they had back-to-back wins. Started with a victory over the Montreal Canadiens in overtime before they nearly blew a lead, but did hold on and beat the Dallas Stars 5-4. And then they fell to the Buffalo Sabres 3-2. So you want to see them beat Buffalo. You definitely want to see them have a little more competitive edge against Anaheim. But still, they got 4 of possible 8 points, 2 of possible 4 wins. It's not overly bad for Edmonton. They're still within striking distance to first in the Pacific, even if LA's creeping behind them at the third of the Pacific. So still, One of the decent teams. They're nearing the 40 win mark, so that's why I had them as I said to my power rankings. Offensively, McDavid, Draisaitl, Nugent Hopkins, Skinner, Arvidsson doing really good offensively. Defensively, newly acquired Wallman, Bouchard, Nurse doing really good defensively, and in nets, Skinner and Picard continue to do really good. So all in all, decent week there from Edmonton. Had them as my 7th team in my power rankings. 6th team in my power rankings this week is the Vegas Golden Knights. They had a decent week this week. They went 2-1-0. They started out the week with a win, like we talked about, over Toronto. Then they shut out the Pittsburgh Penguins just after the trade deadline. Before, like we talked about, they had a 5-6 loss to Los Angeles. So very interesting week there for the Knights. They are also closing in on 40 wins this year. They're still a slight bit above Edmonton and LA for top spot in the Pacific, so still holding on to top spot in the Pacific. Still one of the better teams in the Western Conference. Still looking pretty good. Like offensively, Carlson, Hurdle, Stone, Barbashev, newly acquired Riley Smith doing really good offensively. Defensively, Hanifin, Pietrangelo, McNabb doing really good defensively. And in net, Samsonov and Hill still continue to give them really solid goaltending. So all in all, wasn't a perfect week there from the Knights, but getting 4 a possible 6 points is not overly bad. That's why they are 6th in my power rankings. 5th team in my power rankings this week is the Carolina Hurricanes. They were perfect last week. They went 3-0-0 and still have a lethal winning streak. Start out the week with a very narrow victory over the Detroit Red Wings. Then they scored a game winner with 19 seconds left to beat the Boston Bruins. And then after the trade deadline, they were able to take down the Winnipeg Jets. So all in all, very fantastic week. 3 out possible 3 wins, 6 out possible 6 points. They are now starting to create a little bit of separation for 2nd in the Metro Division, which is really great news. They look like they're going to be playoff bound again this year. So all in all, really good week there from the Hurricanes offensively. Svechnikov, Jarvis, Aho, newly acquired Stankoven, Martinook looking really good offensively. Defensively, Chatfield, Burns, Orlov looking really good defensively. And in net, both Anderson and Kochetkov are doing great in net. So all in all, solid week there from the Hurricanes, and I bumped them up to the 5th spot in my power rankings. The 4th spot in my power rankings this week is the Florida Panthers. They are one of only 4 teams so far this year to have hit the 40 win mark with a record of 40, 21, and 3. They wound up going 2-0-0 last week to extend their winning streak. They beat the Columbus Blue Jackets in a really good fashion before they wound up beating the Buffalo Sabres in 4-0 fashion. So all in all, a couple of wins against lower end teams, even though Columbus is fighting for a wild card spot, but still, those are teams you expect Florida to win. So 2 possible 2 wins, 4 possible 4 points. Still one of the top teams in the Atlantic Division. Really good week there for Florida. Like I said, offensively, Samoskevich, Bennett, Kachuk, Barkov, and newly acquired Mikko Sternly doing really good offensively. Defensively, Seth Jones, Forsling, and Mikola continue to do really good defensively. And in net, both Bobrovsky and newly acquired Vanacek are doing great in net. So all in all, really good week there from Florida. That's why I had them as my 4th team in my power rankings. 3rd team in my power rankings this week is, once again, the Washington Capitals. They were perfect last week. They went 3-0-0. Weren't enough to bump any of the top 2 teams out, but still, they had a really good week. They're up to 42 wins on the year. They are looking great. They started out the week with a win over the New York Rangers. Then they were able to take down the Detroit Red Wings after giving up the first 2 goals, won 5-2. And then with another Ovechkin goal, he helped lead the Caps to a 4-2 win over Seattle. So all in all, really good week there from the Capitals. They continue to be one of the dominant teams in the league. They continue to run away with the Eastern Conference title right now. So all in all, Capitals are looking great. At a 3-0-0 record, they are one of the top teams in the NHL. And I think they're doing really great offensively. Ovechkin, who continues to do well, Strome, Dubois, Mangiapane, newly acquired Bavilier doing really good offensively. Defensively, Chychrun, Carlson, and Ferravari doing really good defensively. And in net, Thompson and Lindgren doing great in net. So all in all, solid week there from the Capitals. Going 3-0, that's why they are 3rd in my power rankings. 2nd in my power rankings this week for a 2nd straight week is the Dallas Stars. They went 3-1-0 last week. They've now also eclipsed the 40 win mark on the season. They started the week, like we talked about, with a win over New Jersey. Then they had a narrow victory over Calgary. Then they lost, like we talked about, to Edmonton before the end of the week with a 4-1 victory over the Canucks. So all in all, really good week. 6 out possible 8 points, 3 out possible 4 wins. You take that for your Dallas Stars, and they are inching towards the Winnipeg Jets, so they're not too far back of them now, which is really good stuff there for Dallas, because at this point in time they're on a trajectory to face the Avalanche, which will be one heck of a 1st round series, but still, really good team. Offensively, newly acquired Mikko Rantanen, as well as Johnston, Robertson, Hintz, Bork doing really good offensively. Defensively, CC, Dumba, Lyubushkin doing really good defensively, and Annette, Onger, and Smith continue to do really good. So all in all, solid week there from Dallas, getting 3 out possible 4 wins. That's why they are 2nd in my power rankings. And 1st in my power power rankings this week, the Winnipeg Jets. Again, they wound up going 2-0 this week, started out the week with a win over the Philadelphia Flyers. Then they fell at the hands of the New York Islanders. Then they were able to take down the New Jersey Devils, like we talked about, 6-1 before they wound up losing to the Carolina Hurricanes. So all in all, a decent week last week from the Jets, going 2-0. You want to see them do better, but still, they're neck and neck with the Capitals for President's Trophy. They are the Western Conference leaders in the West. They're still a really lethal team offensively. Brandon Tanev, who was just acquired, Shafley, Velarde, Connor, Ehlers doing really good offensively. Defensively, Luke Shen, who was just acquired, as well as Morrissey and Pionk doing really good defensively. And in net, both Comrie and Hellebuyck doing really good in net. So all in all, really solid week this week from the Jets, even though they went 2-0, and that's why I'm keeping them as my top team in my power rankings. So definitely, those are my power rankings for week 20 of the NHL season. Just to recap here quickly, I did make 2 moves from last week to this week. So last week I had the Blue Jackets and the Canadians in as the 3rd and 4th honorable mention, and I took them out this week and I put in the Ottawa Senators, who are 4th honorable mention, and then the Colorado Avalanche, who are 2nd honorable mention. So that's the swaps I made from last week. But just to recap here's my top 10 power rankings. So at 10 you have the LA Kings, 9 the Tampa Bay Lightning, 8 the Toronto Maple Leafs, 7 the Edmonton Oilers, 6 the Vegas Golden Knights, 5 the Carolina Hurricanes, 4 the Florida Panthers, 3 the Washington Capitals, 2 the Dallas Stars, and my number 1 team in the power rankings, yet again, the Winnipeg Jets. So definitely, that's my power rankings as the week 20. That's what I want to talk for today. I'll let you guys thoughts. Did I put anyone too high? Did I put anyone too low? And who would you have in your power rankings as of week 20? Definitely your thoughts on all of that down in the comment section below. That's all I'm going to talk for today. Until like this video, if you're not subscribe down below. Thank you for all your support and everything with you guys. So if you haven't already, don't forget the subscribe button down below. Don't forget to comment down in the comment section below so we can all discuss in today's video. I also do a blog to make news, rumors, analysis, stuff like that. So check that out. The link to that down in the description below. And kind of see you guys all for the next video. See you guys soon.